Tonight, we're witnessing the beginning of the end of one of the most catastrophic federal experiments in American history. The Department of Education, created in 1979, has presided over America's fall from first to 34th in global rankings. In Illinois alone, my state, not a single student in 53 public schools is proficient in math. But here's what's really interesting. While your children struggle, bureaucrats at the Department of Education are earning average salaries of $112,000 a year. That's 56% higher than the typical government employee. The teachers' unions, well, they're going to be melting down, but here's the truth they don't want you to hear. And while Trump dismantles the Department of Education's bureaucratic empire, let me tell you about protecting your family's future. Just like our education system needs a return to fundamentals, your retirement needs a solid foundation. That's why I trust Noble Gold. As the education establishment crumbles, gold remains stable. It's a reliable asset. And they're not teaching this in public schools, but smart investors know. When systems fail, gold prevails. Visit nextnewsgold.com. It's linked down below to secure your family's future. And with a qualified account, receive 10 1-ounce silver American Eagle coins. That's nextnewsgold.com, or that number on the screen, 877-646-5347. All right. 2 hours ago, Elon Musk posted this chart. A massive increase in spending after the Department of Education was created with no actual improvement in education. The Department of Education began operating in 1980. So you can see the total cost, employees, enrollment, reading scores, math scores, and science scores. Wow. Total cost, you can see that chart going all the way skyrocketing. Reading, math, and science all just staying flatlined. That is how you can tell the success or failure in this clearly Department of Education, an absolute failure. Gary Simon 5 hours ago. You know what most kids don't like? They don't like homework, and they think education's boring. Blame the Department of Education. Learning can and should be fun. I hope it's vastly restructured at a fundamental level. I say get rid of it all. White House is drafting order to initiate education department's elimination. Okay, now we got President Trump. We've got, this is chock full of goodness today. Oh, we've got the good doctor. Okay, let's go back to the good doctor before we go to our current president.
If you care about your children, you'll get the federal government out of the business of educating our kids. In 1980, when the Republican Party ran, part of the platform was to get rid of the Department of Education. By the year 2000, it was eliminated, and we fed on to it. Then we, as Republicans, added No Child Left Behind. So the first thing a president should do is the goal should be set to get the government out completely, but don't enforce this law of No Child Left Behind. It's not going to do any good, and nobody likes it, and there's no value to it. The teachers don't like it, and the students don't like it. But there are other things that the federal government can do, and that is give tax credits for the people who will opt out. We ought to have a right to opt out of the public system if you want. If you care about your children, you'll get
the fact that we are seeing the vision of Dr. Ron Paul actually happening in real time is, oh God, it's so beautiful. Okay. So let's go back. This was 6 hours ago. A reporter asked Donald Trump, why nominate Linda McMahon if you're going to get rid of the education department? Let's listen to the exchange.
Per pupil.
And on the education department, why nominate Linda McMahon to be the education department secretary if you're going to get rid of the education department?
Because I told Linda, I hope you do a great job and put yourself out of a job. I want her to put herself out of a job. Education department. So we're ranked number 40 out of 40 schools, right? We're ranked number 1 in cost per pupil. So we spend more per pupil than any other country in the world. And we're ranked at the bottom of the list. We're ranked very badly. And what I want to do is let the states run schools. I believe strongly in school choice. But in addition to that, I want the states to run schools, and I want Linda to put herself out of a job.
So do you think that's something you can do with an executive order, or are you going to ask Congress to do it?
I would like to be able to. Look, if I could give the schools back to Iowa and Idaho and Indiana and all these places, and run properly. There's many of them. I think so. If you look at the list, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, believe it or not, China's doing very well on that list. A list of well-educated, where they run their school system well. You have a lot of countries, not surprising names. I think that if you moved our schools into some of these states that are really well-run states, they would be as good as Denmark and Norway and Sweden and some of the other states. And then you'd have the laggards, and you know who they are. I don't have to go to it. But you'd have the laggards, the same laggards that are laggards with everything else, including crime. But even them, you'll break it into systems. As an example, if you went to New York, you go to Westchester County, you go to Dutchess County, you go to Suffolk and Long Island and Nassau and Long Island. You have maybe 6 or 7 locations. And you have New York City, which would include the 5 boroughs. And I think even that would run much better than it does right now. Same thing with Los Angeles or California. You'd have Riverside, you'd break it up into 6 or 7, but most of them would be states, and you'd have one, like in Iowa, you give it to the state of Iowa, you give it to the state of Indiana, these are really well-run states. They don't have debt, they don't have problems, they don't have any crimes, relatively speaking, to speak of, and you would have education that would be the equivalent of Norway and Denmark and various other places that are at the top of the list. So we're at the bottom of the list, and we're the most expensive. We're at the top of the list when it comes to cost per pupil. We spend more money per pupil than any other nation in the world, and yet we're rated number 40. The last ratings came out, you saw them. So they talk about 40 countries. We're rated number 40. And I say that if we did this, we would go 20, 30 notches up. We could do great. And we would have some of the best districts in the world.
Wow. Make education great again. That's what's happening. Department of Education has been holding back on education. Waste of money. Start teaching the children. Ruben Averi says. Mike says the Department of Education is a useless waste of tax dollars. States need to handle the education of the children. Education dollars need to follow the children. School choice is a must. Washington Ghost says take all federal funding away from them. Donald Trump asked about abolishing. Department of Education says he wants individual states to run education, predicts education rates will drastically improve. NBC is reporting Trump will eliminate the Department of Education with an executive order. Representative Ro Khanna freaking out, saying this is an assault on America's children. Really, bro?
Mr. Speaker.
Here's Ro Khanna on the House floor.
NBC News is reporting that President Trump plans to eliminate the Department of Education with an executive order. This is an assault on every young American who went to public school like me. This is an assault on every American family who has someone who is disabled and needs the IDEA program to provide education. This is an assault on every neighborhood in America that has a public school that gets Title I funding. This is an assault on every child who gets school lunches in America. This is an assault on our public teachers across this country. This is an assault on every American who has gotten any federal financial aid to go to vocational school or to go to public college or to get an education like I did.
Oh, yeah, I can tell you got a public education. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. Yeah, enough of you, buddy. Okay. There is a rate proposed community note on this. Says the Department of Education was established by Congress. It cannot be legally eliminated by an executive order alone. Such action will require congressional legislation. Well, let's get that legislation started, baby. Let's go. Okay, what else have we got? Donald Trump preparing to sign an executive order could abolish the Department of Education, according to CNN. So we'll see what happens with respect to executive authority on that. Here we have Angela Morabito talking with Mike Emanuel on Fox, discussing big changes ahead at the Department of Education. Let's listen.
Take action.
What's your reaction to the initial actions taken by President Trump?
Well, I'm very optimistic that President Trump is going to cement his legacy as the school choice president in this second term. School choice has been on the march across the country for a very long time, but we're seeing him take actions now that accomplish two main things. First, they restore sanity to the classroom. They say we have two genders and one American flag. We're going to get this woke nonsense out of the way. And second, he's also made a pledge to homeschool families that he is going to help open up the use of $529 for homeschool programs. And this may sound small, but it actually has a gigantic impact when you think about the rise of homeschooling that has hit since COVID. So I think we're at the dawn of a new day in education. And if this is week one, I can't wait to see what's next.
No surprise, a major teachers union is opposing some of President Trump's education policies. Randi Weingarten from the American Federation of Teachers saying, quote, it gives out the money that goes to kids with disabilities and the money that goes to kids who are poor, monies that were started in the 1960s by Lyndon B. Johnson, and monies that disproportionately go to kids in red states. So we're going to fight for opportunity for all. What is your reaction?
It's heartbreak, because that is an evil lie that misleads and frightens parents. The teacher unions know that their business model is over the second parents have a way out of failing schools. So this is what they do. They just lie. Studies have shown the exact opposite of what Randi Weingarten is saying. They've shown time and again that the students who benefit the most from school choice programs are the students who are struggling the most under the current system.
You know, I'm all for school choice. The amount of taxes that are spent on failing public school systems is unreal. Here's Cole Fry. No joke. This is how I knew about the Department of Education back then. What is this?
This program is funded in part by a Ready to Learn grant from the U.S. Department of Education.
Okay. All right. Oh, Real Robert posted this. He says, this is the criminal Miguel Cardona, who is running the criminal organization, the Department of Education under Joe Biden, says the government, not parents, knows what's best.
I don't have too much respect for people that there was civility. We could disagree. We could have healthy conversations around what's best for kids. I respect differences of opinions. I don't have too much respect for people that are misbehaving in public and then acting as if they know what's right for kids.
Yeah, who's misbehaving in public? Oh, man, the party is over. Okay, I got more. Don't go anywhere. Here we go. 12 hours ago, talking about Randi Weingarten. Gunter Eagleman says she's melting down over Elon and Trump's plan to revise or dismantle the Department of Education. This is coming from a lady who can barely spell, and if you check her X profile, you will see it. Oh, wow. Let's listen to her meltdown.
Elon Musk. And do you think, with what you listed out, with these big functions being written into statute, meaning that it would take an act of Congress to change things about, do you think this is, are you saying you think this is more scare tactic and threat, or do you think that this effort that's being led by Elon Musk and Doge will actually impact the Department of Education?
It will totally impact the Department of Education, but more than the Department of Education, it will impact individuals. Think about, both in terms of Treasury and in terms of education, the amount of personal, private, financial information that that department has, just like Treasury has all the information of Social Security, all the information of taxes. In the Department of Education, it has so much personal information for people. So the question is, why is an unelected person who is taking this information, private information, from people who have trusted the Department of Education to give them their financial information? That, to me, is the scariest thing. Nobody elected Donald Trump or Elon Musk to take their private information.
Actually, I believe we did elect Donald Trump to do just that. So again, she's not being truthful here. Schools have become nothing more than indoctrination camps where activists have replaced teachers. Yep. Here you have some of those visuals. Remember some of these things? Yep. Ugh. That's all over with. Okay, we're going to get to this clip from Weingarten in just a second. But here is Donald Trump. I believe this was back when he was campaigning. Okay, so it shouldn't come as a surprise. He put it out there for everybody.
Education. And one other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. We spend more money per pupil by 3 times than any other nation, and yet we're absolutely at the bottom. We're one of the worst.
You see, so there's President Trump right there on the campaign trail, and she says this.
Functions being much personal information for people. So the question is, why is an unelected person who is taking this information, private information, from people who have trusted the Department of Education to give them their financial information? That, to me, is the scariest thing. Nobody elected Donald Trump or Elon Musk to take their private information.
Yeah, we did elect him to do just that. The Department of Education has been an abysmal failure since its inception. Time for something new. Dr. Etiquette, out of 53 public schools in Illinois, not one student is proficient in math. This is Liz Wheeler.
We hope to achieve not one single student in 53 different Illinois public schools can do math at grade level. Let me repeat, not a single student in 53 different schools in Illinois can do math at grade level. Do not, under any circumstance, send your child to a public school. I know, it sounds radical, but what do we hope to achieve when we send our kids to public school? Academic failure? Stunted social skills? A dangerous environment where they might encounter shooters, transgender individuals in girls' spaces and sports, Marxist indoctrination? I would not wish my worst enemy's child to go to our modern public schools.
Yep. They are indoctrination centers. Here's more. Randi Weingarten accusing Trump of taking teachers' salaries and giving them to billionaires by cutting the Department of... This, I can't believe she's really saying this. Oh my goodness. This is...
Could be improved. Where's the money going? Who's taking it? Are they trying to take that money that kids get?
Oh my goodness. She's like, look at her face, man. She looks like she's just having an absolute meltdown. She's crying. She knows the end is near and she can see it. Oh.
Where's the money going? Who's taking it? Are they trying to take that money that kids get for tax cuts for billionaires? What's going on? That's why we have to see what they're doing. It is illegal to take that money out of children's mouths and give it to billionaires.
Now, are there areas you think that could be improved or streamlined?
Oh, my God. My members, remember, Al Shanker actually didn't want a Department of Education. He wanted it to stay, one of my predecessors, he wanted to stay within Health and Human Services, HEW, because he thought it was more important to have the whole child focused on. So, of course, there are ways to fix the bureaucracy. Of course, there are ways to make things better. I mean, Elizabeth Warren just found millions of dollars of savings that could happen if people work together. But my point is this, and you just said it. States and localities run education. They basically, that's where 90% of the funding for education goes. They already run it. They should run it. The federal government should not run it. But if we want to try and make things better, like having different kinds of pathways for kids in terms...
Okay, enough. Okay, here's more from Donald Trump. This is posted by John Lefevre. The Department of Education budget for fiscal year 2025 is $82.4 billion.
And I will shut down the federal Department of Education, and we will move everything back to the states where it belongs and where they can individualize education and do it with the love for their children.
Yeah, baby. So nobody should be surprised here. Corey DeAngelis, here's how the primary elections went for the Republicans who voted against school choice in Texas. 2 of the 7 returning already signed a pledge to pass universal school choice. School choice wins in Texas. Here's Senator John Kennedy, 19 hours ago, talking about... oh, I love Senator John Kennedy. Well, let's just listen.
It's going to be to my friends who are upset, I would say with respect, call somebody who cares. They better get used to this. It's USAID today. It's going to be Department of Education tomorrow.
And it certainly is. That was published 19 hours ago. Oh, man. Okay, I think we got one more clip here from Randi Weingarten. Oh, President Trump just signed an order to abolish the Department of Education. If you thought the Randi Weingarten meltdowns were epic, imagine what they're going to be like now. Oh, boy, what is... Oh, no.
We're going to make sure that there's housing benefits, that people can have home ownership, that we can attack the price gougers, that we can have unions, that we can have a public school system, that we ban assault weapons, not ban books, that we lift up history, we don't erase it. That's who Alyssa Slotkin is. That's who Kamala Harris is. They want to solve problems. They want to lift things up. Stop history. We don't erase it.
No, but we're going to erase you, Randy. We are going to erase you. The party is officially over, and Ron Paul spoke about it years and years ago, and it's all happening now, my friends. God bless America. God bless Ron Paul. God bless Donald Trump. And God bless you. So, ladies and gentlemen, since the Department of Education's creation in 1979, we spent trillions of dollars to achieve worse results. While Randi Weingarten collects her $500,000 salary, American students fall further behind the rest of the world. But here's what's really happening. President Trump isn't just cutting the department. He's returning education control to states and communities where it belongs. The teachers' unions can scream all they want, but the numbers don't lie. So here's what I need you to answer in our comment section. If the Department of Education has overseen America's plunge from first to 34th in global rankings while paying bureaucrats 6-figure salaries, why should it continue to exist? I can't wait to read your comments. And join the education revolution with our exclusive MAG Avengers gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. It is linked down below.